Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the National Guard number 422N. This is a automatic door bottom, is what it is. Let's start at the beginning. 422 is representative of the type of automatic door bottom this is. The 422 makes it a mortise type. This is something that's intended to be mortised into the bottom of a door. Also makes it heavy duty. This is a substantially large automatic door bottom in the as far as automatic door bottoms go. This is a pretty big one. The N means neoprene. It's a very large, substantial neoprene insert that's in there. Okay. Automatic door bottom with a neoprene insert, considered heavy duty. Maximum drop of 7/8 of an inch, which we'll get to in a moment. This is available only in this mill finish because this mortise style is of course concealed. You would never see it when it's fully installed, so they're only going to make it in one finish. It is considered a mortise mount, used with a threshold for maximum sealing capability. Okay. Now, let's start from the beginning on automatic door bottoms. What is an automatic door bottom? In short, it is a device that seals the bottom of the door when the door is closed. It does that quite simply by a very simple mechanism. Now, you'll notice that on this end of the door bottom, there's this item. We'll call that the plunger, and it's projecting out a little bit there. It's got a slotted sort of drive on it. The other end, you'll take note that it does not have that. Okay. When this is installed into the door, the plunger is installed on the hinge side of the door. When the door is pushed closed, this will make contact with the jamb. And when it does so, it is depressed. And it is the action of it being depressed that forces the bottom to drop. Okay? Now what you're seeing here is the natural sort of operation of an automatic door bottom, meaning that when it's depressed, it doesn't drop straight down. But what actually happens is, when it is depressed, the one end comes down, and my thumb will represent it making contact with the sill, restricting it. And when this is restricted from dropping down any further, it will drop the other side down. So as I hold it here, it will make the other side drop down. If I restrict the opposite side, it forces the other side to come down. So what happens is the item kind of drops like a guillotine. One side will make contact and the rest will contour down, making it quite elegant because it will seal to a sill that may not be level or a door that may not be plumb. Not a wavy situation, but a condition by which the sill may not be exactly level. That's how these go. The amount of projection of the bolt, or the plunger, is directly related to the amount of drop. Again, a maximum drop of 7/8 of an inch. If I turn that counterclockwise, it pulls it out more. That means I'll be able to achieve a greater amount of drop on there. So what happens is this plunger is connected to a flat spring. And when that plunger is pushed in, it forces the flat spring to belly. It's the bellying action of the flat spring that pushes the automatic door bottom down. Let's continue by looking at the link to the product brochure, which is below this. That product brochure shows this and its sister products. First of all, what I'd like to point out to you on the product brochure is a feature of the 422N. So you've got the really healthy amount of nylon seal that's here, neoprene seal that's here. But what you see over here at the tip of my finger is an inserted brush seal. And that makes contact with the inside face of the unit, helping retard the transmission of air up and through the channel and out the other side. That's a very common feature that you'll find on automatic door bottoms that are considered heavy duty. You can see that there is a hollow tube type neoprene that's there. You can see that, which is the 522N. You know, I like the hollow tube style because I feel like I get a better total surface area coverage when that entire tube flattens down. I might opt for that model when I know that I have a smooth top threshold. If I've got something that's fluted, I very well might want the 422 so that I can get inside of those flutes a little bit better. Now the 682 that you see there has got two sets of brushes plus that aluminum bar, and that is somewhat of a security type situation. It's a little bit harder to get something underneath there because that aluminum bar is pushing down as well. And the bristle type is preferred in installations where you have a very uneven sort of floor surface, or you have a carpet sort of application. Nylon brush recommended for carpet applications or where no threshold is provided. Bristles have a tendency to get themselves worked down in many different directions to create a seal. Above there, you can see a couple of models that are going to be the same sort of automatic door bottom, but less substantial in their overall size, etc. You need to be careful with these door bottoms if you have a fire-rated wood door. Obviously, you're going to be using a wood door for this. The models above there, above the 422, which is going to be your 423 and your 683, those comply with the restrictions by which wood door manufacturers are permitted to build their doors and then change them to accommodate one of these. If you specifically have a fire-rated wood door and your door manufacturer is making the door for an automatic door bottom, you'll need to be looking at a unit that complies with it. They will likely come back to you and say, we can't use this, select another model, because it's too great of a unit to go into the construction of a door, a fire-rated wood door. We'll talk about installation of that in a moment. Dimensionally, there is an image below this video showing everything important about the item. I'm going to turn it over so we can get a better look. So an overall is going to put us at about 2 1/8, whereas this dimension is 2 inch. Okay, and overall, just for having the information, looks like it's about 1 5/8 inches. Width of the channel looks like it's about 1 inch. Now, there is a link below this video as well to the installation, and let's go over that next. Step one, and I'm going to interject my experiences having done this. Mortise the bottom of the door on the center line for your model 422, 522, an inch wide mortise, 2 1/8 inch deep. And then if you've got the 423 model, they're telling you to make it, a different size. Now, talking just about that, the way that I've done these in the past is I would have a large plunge router, a heavier horsepower, a larger horsepower unit. And if I was especially going to be doing more than one of these, I would get a large aluminum angle and I would bolt that to the bottom of my router base so that I could take my router and tip it forward and place the inside face of that angle on the top of the door, or the face of the door, as the door is on sawhorses, let's say. I would make sure that the setting of that aluminum angle, let's call it a fence, is such that the center line of the bit and the center line of the thickness of the door are the same. You want to be able to have that work in such a way that you're installing the unit in the center of the door. Now, in a condition where you've got a 1 inch wide mortise, I would just be simply using a 1 inch bit so that I didn't have to reposition the center line of my router at all. If I had a 1/2 inch 2-flute carbide bit, I'd obviously have to reposition that. Basically come up with 2 center lines. Tipping the router forward, I would start at the one end. I would first make sure that my fence does not have any burrs or anything on it that will scratch the face of the door. I would protect the face of the door with masking tape, etc. Drop that down and I would insert it just a little bit, a 1/16 of an inch, maybe an 1/8 of an inch, and I would run the router down the bottom of the door until I got all the way out. And then I would take it off, start again, increase my depth, and I would continue to do that until I got to 2 inch deep. 2 1/8. That's how you go about mortising for these. At least that's how I've done it. Now, if you have a fire-rated wood door, you certainly won't do that at all in the field, because that would certainly violate the rating of the door. Your door manufacturer is going to do that. You want to order it correctly that way. Now, moving on to step 2. Cut the door bottom to the exact net width of the door. Do not cut until the drop bar is extended in the down position. Let's talk about that first. First of all, when you cut, backing up, order these the net size that you need. That's my recommendation. If your door is 35 3/4, 35 13/16, you've got a little bevel on it, I might go something about 35 3/4, because my inside dimension of the door, the push side, will be a little bit less than that, obviously, because your door has got a bevel in it. Let the factory cut them. They're cutting these pieces to make anyway, and this happens to be a 28-inch piece. Let the factory assume the responsibility for getting it cut properly, risk damage, etc., etc. They're making them anyway. They're not stock generally. They have to be cut to length. You might as well just order them the right size. Now, it could be you have a condition where your job site is 200 miles away and you're going to cut them on site. That's certainly fine as well. I'm just a fan of not doing any more work than necessary. Now, cut door bottom to the exact net door width. You're not going to make this any smaller, any more narrow, just the size of the door. If it's got a bevel, just take that into account if you like. Do not cut until the drop bar is extended in down position. First of all, you never cut the plunger side. You don't cut this side at all. Leave it. You cut the opposite side. What they're saying is extend the bottom, and you're going to see that there's a hole there. Right? There is a hole. And there's going to be another one over here. Now, cutting it when the bottom is dropped. That's because the bottom has a tendency to come like this a little bit. You want it to be in the proper spatial area when it's dropped. So you're going to cut it when it's in the drop position. The instructions are referring to insert the 2 nails provided into the hole, into the small holes on the side of the drop bar to keep the drop bar extended while cutting. So you're going to extend this down, insert the 2 nails so that the unit is basically held in the down position while you're cutting it. And then at that point this is extended and you're going to very carefully cut this. Now, do not cut from the end with the adjusting rod, what I'm calling the plunger. They're calling this the adjusting rod. Maximum cut. Door bottoms 36 inch and longer, you can take off 4 inch. Shorter than 36 inch, they should not be field cut, because the internal components in here are made specifically for this. So in this instance, the client had to order it the correct length because it's 28 inch, which was the actual net size of the door. Shorter than 36 should not be field cut. Order the net length, period. Your door is still on its sawhorses. You know that you've checked with your caliper or whatever, or your hardware, that you've got a clean clearance. It fits in really nice. You don't want the rough opening to be any larger than what it's then Y, and we'll go over that in a moment. You're going to then, you've got your door tipped down, you're going to take your unit, slide it in, and it's through the holes that are in the flanges that you're going to attach it to the bottom of the door. Obviously, be careful to pre-drill everything. Those screws are included. And there's going to be 6 of them, because for this unit you need 6. Just a tiny little number, 5 screw, 5 by 3/4 inch, with like a pan head. Okay. Now you've got your unit attached to the door. Let's continue on with the installation instructions. When you install this is going to be on the hinge side, your adjusting rod or your plunger. Number 4, set adjusting rod for proper seal. Here's what I want you to do. Take this, turn it clockwise until it's practically all the way in the housing. Get it all the way in. As far as you can with your fingers is good enough. So it's projecting out about 1/8 of an inch. Door is hung. Adjusting rod or plunger is sticking out only about 1/8 of an inch. And the reason that we've got this put back to 1/8 of an inch is because you've got the door hung. You want to be able to close the door and have it but barely move. Okay, you want to test and see what the operation is like on just 1/8 of an inch, because even at 1/8 of an inch, it still drops down quite substantially over here. So you're going to want to be cautious. The reason is this. When you close the door, you want the seal to drop down so that it makes contact with the sill or threshold, but not so much that there's undue pressure from the adjusting rod or plunger pushing on that flat spring. You don't want the bottom, the drop bar, to be buried into the threshold with such force such that when you go to open the door, it's not being retracted back up into the housing. You want, as soon as the door opens, that it's starting to snap back up. That's what you need to have. So be cautious when you have that 1/8 of an inch pulled out there. Then, at that point, you can continue to turn it counterclockwise and adjust the amount of drop that you've got, and then continue to test it. Close the door, take a look, test it. And that's really how you go about making that sort of proper adjustment to it. Not too much, otherwise you can damage the internal components of the automatic door bottom. Now, I feel that automatic door bottoms are very elegant solutions. First of all, they seal only when the door is closed. They're not making contact with the floor as the door is being opened. You would not get into a condition by which you might have shoes on the inside of the door, and then your door sweep or the type of door bottom that's attached to the bottom of the door hits that shoe, tears off part of it. You might have a rug on the inside of the door. You might have a polished floor. You might have some sort of terrazzo situation that you don't want to sweep dragging across. People will come in, there'll be debris on the shoes, and that just gets swept around, making an automatic door bottom. The point being, when you have a door bottom that is always retracted when the door is open, you don't have a condition where you're going to be marring the floor, damaging prematurely the seal against something that might be left in behind the door, whatever. Also, that sort of application allows an extremely long life expectancy on the seal itself, because all you're doing is sealing, just dropping. You're not dragging. There's no frictional sort of abrasive application that's happening. I think that makes for a very elegant sort of solution. Now, if I've sold 10,000 of these, one time there will be a client that does mention the one downside of an automatic door bottom. For me, it's not a downside, but I'm aware of it, so I'm going to mention it. The only thing I've ever heard is people say, when it retracts back, you hear that clanking sound. National Guard does have models that you can review in the link to the catalog that will help keep that from clapping. Now, this model does not have any sort of condition that it does help that, but some models will have a rubber gasket at the top of the drop bar so that when it snaps back up, it's hitting rubber. For me, it's not really an issue, but the truth of the matter is I've installed these in commercial settings, and while it's not a big deal there, you do hear it. Now, in a residential setting, that might be a different issue. To each his own. I mention it because I'm aware of it. It's not really been an issue except one time in 25 years, but I mention it. National Guard is a full-line manufacturer of all things weather stripping related. Their name is synonymous with weather stripping, is the bottom line. By all means, if you're in the business of making a living, installing doors, etc., familiarize yourself with National Guard. They are a leader. Excellent customer service and even better technical support, and good shipping lead times as well. Any questions on the National Guard number 422N, automatic door bottom, mortise type, heavy duty, or any other National Guard product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.